We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Empowered Across the World. And this is our podcast. And I have amazing hosts with me today. I have Megan, all the way from South Africa. And I have Jackie Zaccoli. She resides in Arizona, but is global like me. And I'm Carol Witt. And I am residing in Florida, and I am in 78 countries now. I'm sorry, 77. I want Ireland, guys. I want Ireland. It's in my head. I want
It's a
Ireland.
declaration.
I know. So anyway, and we have an amazing guest with us today. We always have amazing guests. Thank you. Thank you. And that's really and truly our host out there inviting people in, and they are connected to such amazing people. So, Monica, we are so excited to have you today, and we cannot wait to hear your story. Please come join us.
Lovely. Thank you. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for hosting such an incredible network and giving me the space to be able to share my personal story and help inspire your wonderful network of women too. So I'm the founder of Fitness Inspiration for Women, and I'm here to help women through the menopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause areas in their lives. So, would you like me to share my story?
Yes.
Sorry.
How did this happen?
Okay, so my vision really is to really impact a whole generation of women when it comes to going through the perimenopause and the menopause and the postmenopause. And the reason I'm doing it is really because there's been an incredible number of women that are just frustrated. They're not able to really understand what they're going through, and no one has prepared these women to experience the symptoms that they go through. And so I think the thing is, we're told to eat less and move more. But in the midlife years, what's really happening is that there's a big change in the body, in hormone levels. And actually, the old formulas don't work. And it's time to do something different. It is a body transformation, but I'm here to hopefully let people know that it's possible to go through it with ease and with an understanding of the science and how your bodies work and how you can really begin to thrive through this process. So, I mean, all of this comes with struggle, and honestly, I've been there too. So when I reached my midlife years and I was dealing with the perimenopause, I found it difficult because no one had ever really experienced or prepared me for going through this. I never really understood it. Even though I was an energetic, confident, and fitness person, I suddenly found I had less energy. I was fatigued. I was really exhausted from my life. Getting through that was a mission. And I didn't really understand why. And I feel so many women go through this process whereby they're confident individuals and then they fall off the wagon. They don't know what's going on. They're frustrated, overwhelmed, and they really haven't got a clue why things are happening to them. And you know, so many things are impacted from that. But the reason I started this was I worked for 15 years in pharmaceuticals. And whilst I was a big advocate of medication, when I joined the pharma industry, what I realized was that actually what dawned on me, having worked with people, is that seeing people at the end of life on 7+ medications, because that's what the average adult is on at the end of life. It's such a big issue. And it made me realize that actually for all those side effects and for all the good that medicine does, the side effects that people are going through are being, are the things that are making things worse for them. And for every side effect, there's another medication. And it's just a rigmarole. And people just get pulled into a system. I'm not saying that medication doesn't work, because there are plenty of really good options for women, certainly when their estrogen levels drop, to go on something that works for them. So I think the point is that every individual is different, and it's really important to find what works for you. And so pharmaceuticals made me realize that actually side effects from medication are an issue. And I started exploring more. I suppose my perspective on wellness really changed when my father became ill. And he had a chronic lung condition. He couldn't breathe. He was ill for 10 years. And, when you watch someone deteriorate, it's really difficult to see. And you suddenly realize just how important wellness is. And because of that, I really believe that wellness is the most important thing and most important factor that people should be focused on. Because without your health, you have nothing. Wealth is important, but without your health, you don't even have wealth. So I think the key is to really find something that works. And for me, the penny really dropped when my father became ill and I saw his journey through struggling to put his clothes on, through to struggling to eat. And combined with the fact that I'd worked in pharmaceuticals and seen so many side effects, I was really suddenly drawn to advocating and finding new ways and natural ways of managing nutrition and medication. So those two culminated in me exploring, but of course I had my own issues with my perimenopause and my menopause. I was exhausted. I couldn't, I had high temperatures, which I didn't really understand why. And I began to think, well, actually, there's got to be a better way. And I began to speak to women, and I realized from these conversations, that all women are going frustrated. They didn't understand why their hormones were playing up. They were more anxious. They were more upset. They were more angry. They were frustrated. They'd lost their confidence. And, there's so many different phases to a woman's life. And coming into the sort of latter phases, it's so crucial to get it right, so that women can feel confident and they feel they can handle things better and they can actually make a difference to their families. So that's the reason I created Fitness Inspiration for Women. There are so many facets to it. There are women in the group that are going through completely different things, some with sleep disorders, some with the temperature issues, the heat rising. Many women go through changes in their confidence and their frustrations, and they don't really understand why. So my course basically helps them to really get to grips with who they are, what the best nutrition is for their bodies, and also utilizing yoga and strength training to really begin to make a difference to them. Yeah. So, it's all about education, and it's all about really empowering women to feel like they can make those choices for themselves. So that's where I'm at, and that's the reason I created Fitness Inspiration for Women. I hope to make the difference that matters. I'd like to impact 1 million women, in the next 5 years. I really believe that there's a huge gap in both the West and the East, Africa, Asia, the UK, European nations. I think there's a huge gap that's missing. I think women are not really supported fully to really make those changes and to be able to deal with it. I also really feel that there's a group of, and I know this is the Women's Empowered Network, but there's a group of men that actually also get left out. And I've had men come to my workshops saying, my wife is like this and I don't know how to deal with it. So if we want happy families and we want united families, we need to work harder at supporting both sides of that so that families can be happier and that they can get through with the correct nutrition, the correct exercise, and the right kind of movement. So hence the reason why I created Fitness Inspiration for Women. It's really a project that's dear to my heart. It's a movement. It's really about letting women know that they can thrive through this period, and it's possible completely to really feel like they can be something, and whoever they want to be, they can be, really, you know. So, I mean, this is really my passion, I would say. And I'm here to help women get to those goals, you know, and so essential part of living. So that's my story so far.
I love that because you are actually changing the quality of life of these
Yes.
women. And
Yes.
that, you know, when I went through it, oh boy, oh boy. And my quality of life really diminished in
Yeah.
when I was going through all of that. So I get it. And thank you for concentrating in that direction because there's just not a lot out there for women going through these things. There's not a lot out there. They go to the doctors and they're given drugs. And, you know, there's just not a lot of support out there for what we
Yeah.
go through. And
Yeah.
every woman goes through it in a different way. So thank you for how you support older
No.
women that are really needing that support. Thank you.
Yes, and you touch on it really well, and that's why I think your program is so good. Community is actually where it's at, because actually, you know, without talking about it, women suffer in silence. And when they suffer in silence, they just deal with it. And when they just deal with it, they don't actually get the support or the acknowledgement that matters for them to really begin to have that transformation. So I think you touched on it beautifully. I think community is exactly where it's at.
Yeah, so I want to just share a story with you, and that is I started going through it at 40. And
Wow.
and I was somebody that the hot flashes were so horrible. And
Yeah.
I would be sleeping at night. And so it really affected my sleep because I'd wake up and start pulling clothes off because I felt like I was burning from the inside out. It was so uh, uncomfortable and painful. And then I couldn't get back to sleep. So I was sleep deprived for many years inside of hot flashes. And I know many women go through that. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. And then there are some women that, you know, it's just very light for them. But boy, it was really very affecting for me for at least 5 years that I dealt with that.
I
So,
think I
mm,
think physically, when you sort of go through that, it really does knock your confidence. And secondly, you don't really understand why it's happening. And I think one of the really crucial parts of education is really supporting women in helping them understand why their estrogen levels have dropped and the impact that a low estrogen level or low progesterone level has on your body. And once they
and
begin
your
to,
mind.
yeah, and your mind, oh my gosh, brain fog is such a big issue. and people begin to wonder why they've forgotten things, why they can't get that word out. Well, it's all down to the fact that our hormones are changing. And what I found from speaking to these ladies is that actually, if you are able to understand the science, and you can then understand why things are happening. Once you understand why, you can then begin to get to a solution. But I do find that women aren't prepared. They don't know anything about it. They think that it's the menopause, it's the end of their periods, and that's all there is to it. They start experiencing the real difficulties and challenges that there are with managing sleepless nights, anxiousness, brain fog, and all these things that we're talking about. So very important to sustenance and being a happy individual.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not walking through 4 or 5 years of sleepless nights. All right, Jackie has her hands up. Jackie, go ahead. You are muted, dear one.
Thank you for what you do, and obviously it is really needed in our world. And I'm still going through, believe it or not. The sadness is at 80 years old, I'm still doing it, which is really sad. Really sad. And so, besides the workshop that you do, you said course is what you do. How
Yes.
else? So it's basically a course, or how else are you applying this knowledge?
Sure. So I'm applying this knowledge through online courses, and I also do direct face-to-face support
Okay.
if people require it, because I completely understand that not all women wish to share necessarily on an online platform. So I do things locally in my area, and I also run the online courses. I also feel that when people are with you directly, there's so much more synergy and more of an impact, and you can really begin to help people. The retreats that I do are all to do with wellness. So again, I've got a retreat coming up in May 2026, which is all about sort of how women sleep, how they manage their obesity, can they lose weight? Because weight is such a big issue in this stage of their lives. Many women feel they can't lose the weight. So there's lots of strategies on how women can do that easily and effectively without punishing themselves, really getting an acceptance of who they are at this stage in their life. So we go through personality types, how that's affected. Food psychology, it's a really, really big one. We go through symptoms, how they are managed, what are people experiencing, and how are they coping with them. And what we find is that through talking things through these retreats, then you finally get to a space where actually people are engaged and they understand why things are happening the way they're happening, and solutions and strategies to really help them thrive and get through that. And really, we're here as a cheering guide, much like you are with your empowerment network, that we're here to support women. You know, and I think every woman is different, and it's really about being okay to listen to them, and being a sounding board as well. So the retreats are amazing. So we've got one in the Peak District, and we've got one in Sri Lanka in September.
Cool.
So yeah, so it's amazing because it's face to face. It helps people understand. There's unity in community, isn't there? So
Absolutely. Monica, when I was going through it, I didn't have anyone. I went to a doctor. They tried to put me on drugs. I'm a naturalist. I'm not going to do
yeah,
drugs. So there really wasn't any place for me to go and get any answers, or even just to hear other stories that they were going through it like I am, and so it really honestly felt kind of hopeless and helpless around it. Okay. And so So I'm so thankful that you have something out there. You're doing retreats, you're doing your community things in educating women. And you're not just educating older women that are going through it, but hopefully younger women that are going to go through it so they're not uh, mentally going through a lot of stuff going, why is this happening to me? You know? Thank
I think you make a really valid point, because my focus has been postmenopausal and menopausal ladies. But what I've realized from talking to these ladies, just like you mentioned, it's perimenopausal ladies, because actually that's when it begins.
Yes.
So all this stress and the mindset side of things and the focus, it's just not there, because they don't really get it, and they just accept that their bodies are going through this, but they don't really know why. But also it affects families, it affects men, and when it starts doing that, I kind of feel like the men are kind of on their own too, and the women are on their own and the men are on their own, and they're not talking about it.
Mhm.
So then you have families that are disintegrating, whereas actually if you have women and men who understand what's going on, you're more likely to have a more harmonious relationship,
Mm.
So women are, you know,
Do
in a
you
big,
do anything for families like husband and wife?
you know what? I haven't, but I have had one of my corporates say that they would like a male only retreat. So they want me to do the women's side as a menopausal cafe, and then men separately, because men and women, will they speak in the same room, and will they talk about some of their things more openly? So we're going to do that and give it a go. I'll certainly keep you updated on how that space grows.
Wonderful. All right. Megan has her hand up. Go ahead, Megan.
Thank you very much, Carol. And Monica, thank you so much for sharing that. And as the ladies have said, thank you so much for doing this really important work. I think all of us going through any part of this change, think sometimes we just wish there was the one little portal that everybody screams into, and that information gets disseminated across the world, right? Because you get together with your girlfriends and everybody's experiencing it differently. Yes. And that's what makes it so crazy, is the fact that every single woman going through this has got a very individualized thing going on with her, right? And so it's not just going to a doctor and saying, I'm experiencing for these 5 things, and then saying, right, that's what I'm diagnosing. It's definitely perimenopause. There's just no cut and dried thing sitting on the shelf that they can go, that's your remedy, off you go. I think that's the first biggest thing that I wish, with that there was just one place you could go and find, is this thing that I'm experiencing? I mean, I love research and reading and sciences and the medical world and so on. And I remember coming across an article where they were saying that feeling as if there's something in your ear, as in itchy ears, or feeling like there's an insect in your ear, is probably a cause of your perimenopausal symptoms, right? And I was like, and here we are just going, oh, I've got water in my ear. I've got, as a frequent swimmer, you write it off to something else and you move on. And when you really sit down and have the conversations with other people going through it, and with really informed doctors and practitioners, you realize that every single thing, or virtually everything that you're living through in that space of time, is related to this phase, right? And it's all just evolving over the course of X amount of years, and all you've got to do is try and feed yourself the information and prepare yourself for what comes next, and who knows what that could be. So very well done on what you're doing. And I think my biggest thing is that I've just, from the stories I've shared and heard from other people, the amount of support, or the lack of support, from the medical and the practitioner space has been one of the biggest complaints we find, where women are just not being heard. They're not even being given a chance to list all these symptoms, and they're getting a script written out and off you go, right? And the fact that there is no place where you can actually just go and put all of this down and go, okay, there's the whole thing that I'm going through. What do we do about that? And how can we tackle all of these things? And, you know, sometimes it's not all medicinal, sometimes it is exercise, sometimes it is lack of sleep. But to try and cope with 20 symptoms simultaneously and, you know, figure your way through that, it drives you crazy. So I'm sure there's so many people feeling that all the time. And
Yes.
I just think it's brilliant that you are addressing it from a woman's perspective, but also from a family and a male's perspective. Because, you know, I sit and scroll through information, I find memes, and I send it to my husband, and I go, there's another one to add to your collection, right? Because I say to him, yeah, this is happening, that is happening, but it's like, you know, she's just having a day again, kind of thing. And when you absolutely just another weird Megan day
Another
kind of thing.
day.
Exactly. And so when you share things like that or science-backed information from it's like, oh my goodness, you guys
Yeah.
are going through the most, you know? And I think you mentioned, Monica, a bit earlier, that acknowledgement that we actually are not crazy.
Yeah.
That all of this is going on every single day for X amount of years, and women are just expected to carry on, move on, do your thing, keep smiling, keep growing, keep thriving, and your body's basically going to war with you. It is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yes, that is it. And I'm serious. Your body is really honestly attacking. It feels like it's attacking you. Different symptom every day starts showing up, and you're like, what is going on?
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, you
This-
just hit that, Megan. So
I mean,
so
about that. Sorry, we're just talking about the temperature, the rise in temperature, for example. A very simple thing that estrogen levels really regulate temperature. So when you have a woman whose estrogen levels have dropped and there is high. So what happens is, as a woman, you know, you have this hot flush. Your body normally, in a normal situation with high estrogen, would regulate that temperature. Your body knows when to cool itself down, but without estrogen, your body doesn't know about when to cool itself down. And like you said, I just think if women understood why things are happening to them, they'd understand how they can tackle it as well. And like you say, so individualistic, isn't it?
yes,
So individual.
absolutely. All right. So we have Jackie, you have your hand up, but we have to move on.
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you there's a resource. Parmelia Parham would be a good place for you to be with all of her therapists in a
Amazing.
holistic.
Okay.
So that's all right there in the chat.
Lovely.
Absolutely beautiful. I would definitely be reaching out to you, Monica. Thank you for, wow, just such another amazing episode of Women Empowered Across the World. Thank you so much for bringing what you do out there, and really that we can shine the light on what you do out there so people know where to go for the support, know where to go for the answers and the education. And
Yeah.
even hopefully younger women that are going to be facing this will be able to start connecting some dots for themselves as they're going through it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for being an amazing guest today. Guys,
So well.
yeah, if you love these episodes, we do them one on Monday, two on Friday, and we are always looking for amazing women to come and share your story. And if you're a woman, you're amazing. So please, you have a story. This is the platform to be able to speak it and for us to get it out to our listeners. And we thank every one of our guests that have just come and bared their hearts and shared their stories and inspired many, many women out there. So, guys, please subscribe to our channel, make comments, and please, your sphere of influence is not mine. Mine is not yours. Go out and share it with others so it gets out wide. And women know they have a place and a voice that makes the difference. Guys, We all deserve to thrive. Let's do it together. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
There's no divide, peace and love.